Yemen marks the anniversary of Unity Day amid sharp political fragmentation and deteriorating economic conditions. European countries recognize Palestine state, stressing that a two-state solution is essential for peace. The United Nations holds food distribution in Rafah city due to the Israeli offensive. Good evening. Welcome to Yemen Today News. I am Abir Ali. The Yemenis commemorate on May 22nd annually the unification of North Yemen and South Yemen, which gave birth to the Republic of Yemen. Yet, such celebrations comes when the country undergoes a sharp political fragmentation and dire economic conditions. This makes the very talk about unified and stable Yemen in light of current situation a remote possibility. This report has more.
By the end of December 1981, a draft constitution for unity between the two parts of Yemen was drawn up, and throughout the 80s of the last century, the momentum of the political unity stations between the leaders of the two parts and the intellectual and cultural discussions increased, and this culminated in the achievement of the most prominent achievement in the contemporary history of Yemen, with the establishment of the Republic of Yemen and re-achievement of the unity. The establishment of the Republic didn't end the controversy over the Unity Constitution, but rather its intensity increased between some Islamists in the north and forces in the south. Here, the two parties, after back and forth, were guided to compromise solutions that embodied the fourth goal of the goals of the September Revolution by establishing a democratic, cooperative, and just an established society. The people who choose who would represent them in the ruling authorities and decision-making positions found through democracy an embodiment of their will and a practical application for being the holder and source of power, until the chaos of 2011 occurred, which the Houthi militia exploited in a response to the democratic approach by perpetuating the myth of the state and that the leader of the militia would remain above any electoral process, as one of its leaders pokes. On the 34th anniversary of unity, the Yemenis realized the danger of the coup against the democratic approach and that it is one of the most prominent existential dangers that threaten the continuation of the unified Republic of Yemen. In fact, the retreat from the democratic system threatens the fragmentation and disintegration of the country and the return of the country to the eras of the Imami's priestly backwardness and the ambitions of the imperialist colonialism.
Rashad Al-Alimi, chairman of the Presidential Leadership Council, affirmed that the anniversary of Yemeni unity will remain a solemn occasion to protect the national harmony. In a speech to the Yemeni people on the occasion of the 34th National Day of the Republic of Yemen, the chairman of the Presidential Leadership Council renewed the full commitment of the Council and the government to their declared pledges and its openness to all options to enable people of Yemen to achieve their aspirations. Chairman of the Presidential Leadership Council renewed his government's firm position towards the peace process, but at the same time he stressed its military readiness to deter any hostile adventure on the part of the Houthis. Al-Alimi that the southern issue is present in any future consultations, stressing the continuation of the policy of openness to all mediation efforts related to alleviating the suffering of Yemeni citizens. The United States renewed its support for the UN international and regional efforts aimed at reaching a comprehensive political solution to end the conflict in Yemen. The U.S. ambassador to Yemen, Stephen Wagan, said that the United States strongly supports efforts to achieve a permanent cessation of hostilities between the parties by finding a Yemeni-led political solution. This came in a statement by the embassy in which the ambassador congratulated Yemen on the Unity Day. Britain affirmed its commitment to supporting international efforts aimed at bringing peace to Yemen and helping to alleviate the humanitarian crisis in the country. Abdel Sharif, the British ambassador to Yemen, said that the occasion of Unity Day that the United Kingdom continues to support UN-led peace efforts to resolve the conflict and alleviate human suffering in Yemen. Sharif renewed her country's commitment to providing all aspects of support and assistance in order to achieve a prosperous future for all Yemenis. A civilian was killed as a result of the explosion of a landmine left by the terrorist Houthi militia in Hodeidah Governorate. During May, the National Landmine Observatory reported the killing of 5 civilians, including a child, and the injury of 8 civilians, including 4 children and a woman, in incidents of Houthi mine explosions in Hodeidah, Taiz, Lahj, and Al Bayda. The Palestinian Health Ministry announced that the number of victims of the Israeli aggression on Gaza Strip has risen to 35,709 martyrs and 79,099 injured in October 7th. The Palestinian Health Ministry accused the occupation of committing 6 massacres against families in the Gaza Strip, which resulted in 62 martyrs and 138 injured during the past 24 hours. Spain, Ireland, and Norway have announced that they will to officially recognize the state of Palestine, stressing that the two-state solution is essential for peace in the Middle East. This report has more.
In a historic step that sparked celebration among the Palestinians, Norway, Ireland, and Spain announced on Wednesday that they are recognizing a state for Palestine. Right away, Israel sent back its ambassadors from Ireland and Norway. Norway was the first to recognize a Palestinian state. Prime Minister Jonas Støre stated there cannot be peace in the Middle East if there is no recognition.
Norge vil anerkjenne staten Palestina.
The government of Norway will recognize the state of Palestine. Norway recognition will come into force on May the 28th. Norway will regard Palestine as an independent state. The Palestine state is obliged in line with international law to live in peace with secure, internationally recognized borders and to comply with all relevant UN resolutions.
The official announcement is going to be on May 28. In recent weeks, a number of European Union countries have declared their intention to recognize Palestine as a state. Furthermore, on Wednesday, Spanish Prime Minister Pedro Sánchez made the expected announcement in front of the parliament.
El próximo martes 28 de mayo, España aprobará.
Next Tuesday, the 28th May, Spain will approve in its Council of Ministers the recognition state of Palestine. If one thing is clear, is that Prime Minister Netanyahu has no peace project for Palestine.
Earlier this month, Spain's Foreign Minister José Álvarez stated that he had told U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken of his government's plan to recognize a Palestinian state. In addition, Ireland's Prime Minister Simon Harris announced a decision at a news conference in Dublin.
Ireland, Norway and Spain are announcing that we recognize the state of Palestine. Each of us will now undertake whatever national steps are necessary to give effect to that decision. In the lead up to today's announcement, I've spoken with a number of other leaders and counterparts, and I'm confident that further countries will join us in taking this important step in the coming weeks.
The decision was also welcomed by Turkey, as the Turkish foreign minister stated that this would help Palestine achieve the status it deserves in the international community.
Israel summoned its ambassadors in Ireland, Norway and Spain to Israel for consultations. This comes after the decision of these countries to announce their recognition of the Palestine state. Israeli Foreign Minister stressed that the Israeli will not go through this silently and warned that this step taken by the three countries will have other severe repercussions. UN halts all food distribution in Rafah due to the insecurity and after running out of supplies, amid accusations of the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu of using starvation as a method of war. The following report has more details.
The United Nations suspended food distribution in the southern Gaza city of Rafah due to a lack of supplies and an unsustainable security situation caused by Israel's expanding military operation. The UN warned that humanitarian operations across the territory were nearing collapse. A senior United States official said Israel has addressed many of the Biden administration's concerns about a full-scale ground invasion of Rafah aimed at rooting out Palestinian fighters there. U.S. President Joe Biden had previously opposed the total military assault on a city filled with displaced civilians if plans didn't prioritize the safety of innocent Palestinians. The official said the administration stopped short of green-lighting the Israeli invasion plan, but said Israeli officials' changes to the planning suggested they were taking the American administration's concerns seriously. Over the past 2 weeks, hundreds of thousands of people have fled Rafah, seeking shelter in new tent camps or crowding into areas already devastated by previous Israeli offensives. Some 400,000 people are believed to still be in Rafah after around 900,000 rushed to escape the Israeli military office in charge of Palestinian civilian affairs. Getting aid to displaced civilians has been hampered by closed and chaotic land crossings, as well as problems plaguing the U.S. military's new floating pier meant to provide an alternative sea route for aid into Gaza. Over the weekend, hungry Palestinians took aid from a UN vehicle convoy coming from the pier, and the UN said since then it had been unable to receive trucks there. The UN's World Food Programme said it was running out of food for central Gaza, where hundreds of thousands of people are now living. The warning came as Israel seeks to contain the international fallout from a request at the world's top war crimes court for arrest warrants, as the use of starvation as a method of warfare was among the accusations against Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. Throughout the war, Rafah has been filled with scenes of hungry children holding out pots and plastic containers at makeshift soup kitchens, with many families reduced to eating one meal only on a day.
Coming up in the news. Rural communities in Hodeidah struggle to have access to clean drinking water.
Stands out for its richness, complexity, and distinctiveness. Coffee cuppers seem to breathe through their very souls with every sip. They appreciate the journey of the seed, dating back to when it was just an idea in the farmer's mind, through to its journey into their cup. There are various forms of preparation, followed with almost ritualistic precision. Yemeni coffee, an endless story of discovery.
Welcome back. The American Special Envoy to Yemen, Tim Lenderking, will start this week a new Gulf tour to discuss the prospects for establishing peace in Yemen. The U.S. State Department said Lenderking's tour will include Saudi Arabia, the Emirates, and Oman, where he is scheduled to hold meetings with officials in these countries to discuss the necessary steps to calm the current situation and support the Yemeni people. The Houthis announced that American and British aircraft launched 6 raids on Hodeidah Airport in western Yemen. The new announcement came while USA and European military missions are deployed in the Red Sea and the Gulf of Aden to confront the Houthi militia. Experts warn that Yemen is witnessing an increase in the prices of goods and foodstuffs. They said the country is witnessing the deterioration of the value of the local currency, which exceeded 1,700 reals against the dollar, and most Yemenis have become unable to obtain their necessary goods and services. Qatar, Red Crescent, and the United Nations Office for the Coordination of the Humanitarian Affairs launched a new project to enhance medical care for refugees and migrants in Yemen, worth about $400,000. Qatar Crescent said that. The statement added that the project includes supporting and developing the medical infrastructure in Sana'a by providing medicines, medical supplies, and equipment, furniture, and maintenance.
نزحت قدام 8 سنوات من الحديدة لهنا وكنا أول مرة خيام وبعدين جابوا لنا الصناديق هذه والحمد لله عايشين ملابس تفكري 11 نفر لو بتكسيهم كيف بسوي معاهم وما يحتاجش عاد أحكي لك ولا أشكي لك ولا حياتي بالحديدة كان قدام الحرب كان ما أفكرش ولا أحسب الشغلات دي كلها بس بعد ما طلعنا منها التفاكير والهم وكل سنة يزيد همها عن الثانية وكل سنة تجي أسوأ من الثانية لكن في بها الله سبحانه وتعالى هو اللي بيحلها أما البشر ما حد يحل بحد.
Water suffering in southern Hodeidah is a major problem. Al Juraib, a village in Hais, is one of the villages whose residents endure daily suffering and travel long distances in order to obtain liters of portable water without concerned authorities looking into this village or even rehabilitating its project, which has been stalled for nearly 15 years. This report has more.
Here in a small village located south of the city of Hais in Hodeidah, far away from the sight of those concerned, the citizen Ali Salim lives a tiring and miserable life. This is a story that tells the tragedy of the daily search for water on long and exhausting trips. And this is the case with the rest of the citizens who live in continuous suffering.
We've been without drinking water for 3 days now. The area badly needs a water project. Every morning and before I have my breakfast, I go to fetch water and stay for longer hours. Sometimes I find water and sometimes not. An elderly woman in my family died as she did not have water to drink.
This painful reality embodies a bitter living that calls for urgent intervention to provide a water project that relieves them of this heavy burden. This hardship is particularly tolerated by children who suffer from deprivation of education due to the urgent need to search for water and help their families.
The suffering of the people of the village is evident in the miserable scenes of children and adults who are forced to carry plastic containers for water and walk for long distances under the hot sun.
The suffering of the people of the village is evident in the miserable scenes of children and adults who are forced to carry plastic containers for water and walk for long distances under the heat of the sun. It seems that the right to clean water, which is considered a basic human right, doesn't include these people who dream of a drop of clean water, reaching their homes as they barely obtain liters of water with difficulty.
Here is a reminder of the main headlines. Yemen marks anniversary of Unity Day amid sharp political fragmentation and deteriorating economic conditions. European countries recognize Palestine state, stressing that a two-state solution is essential for peace. The United Nations halt food distribution in Rafah city due to the Israeli offensive. This is the end of the news. Thank you for streaming with us. It was Abir Ali.